All right, what's up? I kind of wanted to just mess around and do some more like R&D, like just experimenting with some DSP. So this will be a little less like tutorial how to do filters or how to do oscillators because I don't really know how to do what we're about to try to do. But something I've been wanting to make some time to mess around with is the idea of using nonlinear filters as a kind of percussion synthesizer. This sort of builds on classic percussion designs, I hope. Like the Roland TR-808 bass drum is a resonant filter that's getting triggered by some impulse. And I'm curious, I guess, what happens when you have that resonant filter be something that has more chaotic behavior. And I'm sort of inspired by the way that I like to patch up the Make Noise QPOS, which is a modular filter. It has all of these fun little extra inputs where you can put triggers or other signals, little envelopes, and it like does stuff to the filter. What it does, I have no idea. And you can patch it in these interesting feedback configurations too, where you like use one of the high pass or band passed outputs to feed one of these mystery inputs or the Q or frequency modulation, and you get some really interesting distorted drum sounds out of it. So I'm curious about trying to do something like this digitally. Do the boilerplate stuff, because I'm just going to keep rolling with this, trying it out on the command line thing. I think it's neat. Great. Here's a little boilerplate program. Now we can do any DSP that we want. I think most of the kind of filters that I'm interested in sort of emulating, we can do with what's called a biquad filter. And a biquad filter is a filter whose transfer function looks like this. Yeah, you have a quadratic polynomial in the top and the bottom. And what that means is that you're using the prior output, the prior output, or two outputs ago. You're using the prior input and the prior input. So this is a real workhorse of a filter design. You can do so many things with this, including emulate a lot of circuits. I'm gonna try separating state from functionality, just sort of as as an exercise to see if I can get my brain to work that way. So here's a namespace for doing biquad filters. Okay, so that's a filter in direct form 1. We take the straightforward difference equation and we write it out. The other forms that you might want to do, you do algebra on this difference equation, and you can derive these other ways of coming to the same result, but without like truncation errors or rounding errors that might cause your filter to become unstable. We're gonna do weird stuff to this filter. So we're gonna have one of these, and then where we've got buffer of I equals stuff. Now we know what we can write. We can say biquad next filter T, and then we've got to feed it something. So let's make an impulse. Oh, it wants the address of filter T. Yeah, right. Okay. So this is an impulse. This is a cheap way of getting an impulse because this will evaluate to true at the very first frame and will evaluate to false to all the other ones, which will get us 1 or 0. The last thing we need to do before we can actually listen to this thing is we have to tune our coefficients to something. Right now they're all 0. This is not going to produce any sound. So like this bandpass function sets the coefficient such that we can parameterize it in terms of a cutoff frequency, a quality factor, and a sample rate, of course. But now we can say biquad bandpass filter, and then I don't know. Let's do 440. Let's try to make something that goes bing. think that's a sane Q factor. This might explode. We'll find out. File this. Drum, pipe to A play. It's just really quiet. It's so quiet. I make the input really loud. Good luck, everyone. Oh, there we go. And like now we're starting to get into drum territory. What if we swept the frequency? Ooh, that's fun. I think I'm mostly hearing the chirp. But that's a very percussive sound. I like that. What if we made the bass frequency a little lower? Like that's sort of a good kick drum frequency. Oh, I think we made the filter explode. This is where some of the numerical instability issues that I alluded to earlier might be coming into play. There's a very talented DSP engineer who makes plugins by the name of Jatin Chowdhury. I follow their blog. This is how I got curious about this whole topic. What does he have to say on transpose direct form 2? So there are several ways to implement a bi-quad filter, but one of my favorites is so-called transpose direct form 2. It's a rather complicated name for a relatively simple thing. More information on why the name exists can be found in Julia Smith's wonderful Introduction to Digital Filters. Above we see the signal flow diagram for transpose direct form 2. TDF2 is a favorite of mine for several reasons. For one thing, it's pretty efficient. It only uses a handful of multiplies and 2 delay elements, but also has nice numerical properties for implementing highly resonant filters. Because the zeros precede the poles in series order. And that provides numerical stability, because all the instability in a filter comes from its poles. Those are where we might end up with bad infinities sneaking into our math. So we have our transposed direct form 2. Let's put this back in a state where we were getting some instability. Let's see what happens. It still explodes. It still blows up, but that's fine. We weren't trying to learn how to do FM on the filter, but I was curious. So, all right, here is what Jatin Chowdhury has to say about using this form. So they stick the nonlinearity in at the delay points. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm excited now. A nice nonlinearity to use would be the hyperbolic tangent function. Or like this is one way that you might get soft clipping or something like soft clipping. There's a bunch of different sort of S-shaped functions to choose from. All right, what happens to our lovely filtered knock when we have this in there? Okay. Sounds really similar. Sounds really similar. What if we make it more resonant? It's like basically the same. Ooh, but what happens to our feedback that had been making us unstable? Let's put it back in the zone where it was getting out of control. Because the weird thing about the squashing function might actually force some stability. Yeah, it does. Fascinating. Oh, yeah. That's neat. A little less feedback. Wow, it's cool how much brighter that makes that. This is nice. That's very cool. Make it a little less resonant. Yeah, okay, so now this resonance control is like a brightness factor. We'll introduce the resonance a little more slowly. Good times. Oh, that's nice. I like that. There's something really chaotic happening there, which is fun. Let's add more feedback, right? Okay. That's nice, though. That's very nice. Put this back to sine. Very fun. Very fun. Huh. Really? What was happening? Okay. I guess the issue with feedback stuff is like, of course, it's inherently unpredictable. That's a big part of it. So you kind of have to keep toying with it to find areas that you like. Like this is a really nice bass synthy kind of stuff here. And this is really nice, like that's solidly in kick drum territory to me. There's something about the transient there. Woo. And this one is just, it's similar, but it's more tame. Like that's also in kick drum territory, but it's just, it has a little less going on with it. That's a nice compromise though. Like that. You get a lot of growl out of that. Yeah, it's interesting in all the configurations. Yeah, all right. I think I should leave it there because we've been on for like 2.5 hours. And I have to edit this later. But that was really exciting. Like, I feel like this could be a really fun sort of experimental drum synth in the making. All right. With that, I'm going to sign off.